The testosterone level is an indicator of the quality of your lifestyle. It also has relatively large fluctuations. It may be that one day you are on a very high level, just to end up equal to a statistical 60-year-old the next day. Today's material will actually be about how your actions lead to this kind of situations. First and foremost, the substances. I have even dedicated a separate video to that. Stimulants, alcohol, marijuana. Each of these substances has a negative impact on the production of testosterone. And before the fans of that last substance decide to get offended, let me explain why. A scientific study can be construed so that it intentionally confirms or negates our thesis. There are also those that confirm its positive impact on testosterone. Why I disagree with them and what kind of studies these are, more on that in a moment. I think that in every drug, one could observe a side effect in form of reduced production of the LH hormone. This is the so-called luteinizing hormone that, together with FSH or the follicle-stimulating hormone, are among the gonad-stimulating hormones, hence the name gonadotropic hormones. These are produced by the pituitary gland when stimulated by the hypothalamus, which is a special structure that regulates the secretory functions of the pituitary. In other words, LH gives a signal to the Leydig cells in testicle to produce testosterone. Their concentration increases and decreases depending on multiple factors. This is the phenomenon I mentioned right at the beginning. One day you may have a very high testosterone level, but if for some reason this signal gets weakened, it will weaken the testosterone production. Drugs usually weaken this signal. As a consequence, abuse of certain substances leads to decreased testicle mass and deteriorated sperm quality. In publications with different results, such as this one, the differences between the studied groups were marginal. This study showed that what mattered was when the men smoked marijuana the last time, especially in the age group of 18 to 29 years. Those who had smoked it recently had slightly increased testosterone level compared to other groups. It wasn't checked why though. One could speculate that it's about the lowered level of cortisol, which is one of the greatest enemies of testosterone. Its level is a corresponding marker of the quality of life. The cortisol level in blood increases with the amount of processes unfavorable to the body. Sleep deprivation, starvation, infections, stress, poisoning. These things increase its production, which only makes it natural that if someone with poor hygiene relaxes by smoking a joint, it may have a positive impact in this case. But before this gets misinterpreted in your heads, let me add that a much stronger response to reduction of cortisol can be achieved by meditation, for example, which means that marijuana absolutely cannot be used as an effective tool for increasing the amount of testosterone, because when used regularly, it will have the opposite effect. Even the fact that you may have an increased libido while on marijuana doesn't prove anything. Almost everyone has strong libido while hungover after alcohol, despite the maximum concentration of cortisol and strong drop of testosterone. This is related to the fact that when deprived of the dopamine supply, the brain will look for an alternative source of it, and sex is something that temporarily increases the activity of dopamine receptors. That is because dopamine is closely related to testosterone. In a broader perspective, a single smoke or maybe drinking a few shots won't impact your reproductive abilities. Even marijuana addiction or alcoholism won't get you completely castrated, although it will lower the testosterone level significantly. Speaking of alcohol, ethanol is even more dangerous to your testosterone. For the body, this is pretty much a poison. Alcohol increases the estrogen level. It does so by increasing the activity of the aromatase hormone, which converts testosterone into estrogen. It is a very interesting phenomenon that not everyone is aware of. Guys with high testosterone also have high estrogen because the excess testosterone through the aromatase hormone converts it into estrogen. That's the cause of such things as gynecomastia in young guys or people on steroids. But whereas for someone with a high testosterone level, it is a beneficial process for the sake of the condition of joints, for example, for someone who drinks regularly, it is absolutely not. I have already told you about a certain large study on the influence of alcohol on testosterone, in which as many as 17,000 subjects participated. It showed that all it took was a month of drinking for the average testosterone level in healthy men to place them in the same line with advanced alcoholics. Another important issue is nutrition. Every deficiency, especially of vitamins and minerals, may cause drastic drops in testosterone production, which makes it so important to watch it, especially when on reduction. This is where I would like to recommend the episode in which I listed in detail how reduction influences the testosterone level and how many paths it goes through. If you haven't watched it yet, then even before you move on to the next part of this episode, I suggest catching up on that. This is where I would like to give examples of specific products that have a legitimate impact on reducing the level of male hormones. I'll start with the most controversial issue, which is the soy products. Right at the beginning, I need to inform that there are studies that diminish this correlation, and it is often vegans and vegetarians who cite them. On the other hand, these are usually the kind of people who take extraordinary care of their health. And since the testosterone level is a resultant of many variables, the negative effects of consuming soy can certainly be countered. A lot depends on its amount in the diet. Soy can be found in form of fresh beans, the so-called edamame. It is also present in the miso soup, in soy milk, or in tofu. All these products are a rich source of phytoestrogens, plant-based organic compounds. Despite their non-steroid structure, it is due to the high structural similarity to endogenous estrogen that they possess some of its characteristics. They are characterized by functioning similar to that of estrogens, although much weaker. Due to the structural similarity to estrogens, phytoestrogens combine with their receptors. In simpler words, one could say that these are natural SARMs that influence not androgen receptors but estrogen ones. And even if we replace natural soy with processed isolate, we're running the risk of lowering the testosterone level. That's what happened in a group of 35 men, for example, who drank soy protein instead of whey protein for 54 days. A certain type of phytoestrogens are flaxseed lignans. These can be found in sesame, linseed, and in a smaller amount in vegetable oils. Another huge threat to masculinity are trans fats, which are processed vegetable oils. When consumed in large quantities, not only do they lower the testosterone level, but are also harmful to health on many different levels. Trans fatty acids are mainly consumed together with bread spread fats or baking fats. A great example here is margarine and all the products it is used to manufacture, like low-quality bread, crispy snacks like salty sticks, crackers, or chips, as well as candy, instant soups, or mayonnaise. Add to that used vegetable oils that fast food is made on. In certain studies done on rats, adding trans fats to their diet caused the sperm count to drop by as much as 37%. It also lowered the amount of the so-called good cholesterol HDL, which is a crucial building block in testosterone synthesis. The testosterone synthesis can also be significantly impacted by mint. In the Middle Eastern countries, it has been used for centuries in folk medicine as a remedy for excessive body hair in women. Certain types of mint were able to lower the testosterone level in rats by as much as 51%. A similar action can be observed in licorice, popular in Scandinavian countries, widely used as an ingredient of tobacco, tea, chewing gum, or other confectionery products, or even as an alternative to sugar and tea. The negative influence on testosterone is caused by the main ingredient of licorice, the glycyrrhizinic acid. In order not to be based solely on studies conducted on rats, I will quote the one where 25 men were involved. All it took was a week of consuming 3 5-gram of licorice for the average testosterone level in the study group to be lowered by whole 26%. In conclusion, the testosterone level is influenced by many factors. The better the quality of our life and the less we consume certain products, the higher it is. It is a very sensitive marker, which causes it to strongly react to such factors as stress or lack of sleep. It gets lowered by all kinds of stimulants, diet deficiencies, and inadequate hygiene. The exact influence of drugs on testosterone and the gym gains can be found in the recommended material. This was Steel Shock. See you in the next video.